All right, good morning. My name is Jeffrey Fillingim, and today I'm going to be presenting the Fillingim HPT model. Well, to start us off, what is HPT? HPT simply stands for Human Performance Technology. It's designed with the goal of improving production and aptitude through various aspects of analysis, design and development, implementation, and evaluation. Continuing on, some of the early origins of human performance technology really can be traced back to millennia ago. However, um, some of the first books and things like that were written were created by some of the early pioneers, for example, Thomas Gilbert, who many consider to be the father of performance technology. Many of these early pioneers came from the field of instructional technology, hence why there are so many similarities. However, there were many different backgrounds of the early pioneers, and this led to a lot of different models being created that are still in use today. Some of the different models, just some examples, the six boxes model, the Mager and Pipe model, the Dick and Carey model, and the Addy model that was first employed back in the 1970s within the military. Does the choice of model and the selection of model matter? The short answer is yes. The model of choice does matter for each particular situation. Each model design has its own strengths and weaknesses for each situation. For example, they could be linear in nature or cyclical. The Fillingim HPT model is a collection of various models with the goal of incorporating the best practices from each model into one singular model. The theory of it is that it will build upon other strengths and limit the effects of its perceived weaknesses. Here is a graphic illustration of the Fillingim HPT model. As you can see, there's four different sections, and it is linear in nature, which means that it is step by step and must be completed in that manner. However, there is a lot of freedom within each category. As you can see, the first is to assess, the second is to design, third step would be implementation, and finally, fourth step would be evaluation. I have included another simple graphic just to be clear of its linear nature. Again, assess, design, implementation, and evaluation. The first step, again, is assessment. This essentially means to analyze, gather data, in any kind of perceived gap in performance. Take inventory of problems and look at root causes. Look at the tools and resources available to the performers. The second step is design. If there is a perceived gap in performance, we need to be able to design a model that can effectively, close those gaps. The third step would be implementation, where we've designed, but we need to actually employ or implement this design and put it into practice. We need to be able, the plan is to streamline and get and attain as most efficiency and effectiveness as possible. Uh, and then lastly, we have evaluation, the fourth and final step in this model. So considering all possible root causes, forming solutions, and then evaluating the results from the model's implementation phase. Results do need to be observable and measurable to see if we've made real progress. This is just an example of pie chart that I came up with. If a hospital were to employ me in regards of reducing needle sticks, accidental needle sticks, the first step would be the assessment. I need to gather data. As you can see from this pie chart, that 72% of all accidental needle sticks in the hospital happen in the emergency room. Now, there might be a lot of root causes of this, and that would lead me into another kind of step of analysis. And I really think that analysis or assessment, which is that first step, really gives the instructional designer a lot of freedom and mobility within that. That's one of the strengths, which will lead me into my next slide. It's very simplistic in design, very flexible, can be used with a wide variety of business situations. It is linear in design, which means it's easy to follow step-by-step approach. And it can be used by employees who are not considered highly specialized or technical. Um, Now, some of the weaknesses could be perceived as too simplistic, not fitting for highly complex problem analysis, considered a one size fits all approach, which we know is probably not a great thing. Um, it does rely on feedback from employees who may or may not be motivated to shorten the gap. So, again, there could be some weaknesses, but I do think the strengths far outweigh any perceived weaknesses. Um, just remember when you're employing the Fillingim HPT model to keep climbing. There's always room for progress, and we can always close those gaps. Here are my references, and thank you very much for your time.